They tried to hack your boy. They tried to hack your boy. They said,
They
they
didn't
said,
try.
they,
They
they,
didn't. They didn't try.
they did it.
They
They did it.
succeeded.
They did it. They said it was Trey. I was like, oh God. No, that's hilarious.
As soon as you made that joke, it was done.
It was
It
done.
was done.
I gave him a reason. I had a myriad of Trey jokes. So
It's probably for the best. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't even get involved in that situation. You know what I'm saying? It's a family issue.
it's
You
a
know?
family issue. We know about
Sometimes your family wiles out, and you just got to handle it internally.
internally.
There you go. There
That's
you
what
go.
happens. But you know what I'm saying? Your boy is flourishing. I had to use my Finsta. And I got a pass. So I had a fake Insta. You know, the Finsta is when you like your girlfriend blocks you and you gotta go to another one and be like, babe, I'm sorry. So like my block list was all in there. So the moment I started using it again, literally a lot of women I used to talk to was like just sending random shit. I was like, yeah, this wasn't a wise idea. So I gotta sift through that.
I'm not cool, so I didn't even. I never had a Finsta,
I
so
had a Finsta, you know.
I never had. I'm not cool enough. You know what I'm saying? I
I'm
was out
not
here
cool either. I'm a
using my
changed man.
government name.
It is what it is.
You know, like when your parents put up a social media account to be their full name,
Yeah.
Mike G. Watts. You're like, oh, okay,
What you spoken into existence. Devon Renault Douglas.
yeah,
D.
yeah.
Douglas.
Don't use my government name. No,
And then you're a doctor now. You have a doctorate, so
not a cool one. I'm a doctor of the law. It don't help you or nothing.
but it's a doctor of the law.
I'm gonna tell people right now. Look, doctors across the world, unless you are the medical doctor, nobody cares. Like nobody cares except the people in your field. So I'm like, yo, that's cool. You was at a conference like, the literary doctors conference. Yes, they care about that there. That's fantastic. The engineer doctors that they care about that there. But like when we hear doctor and just worldwide speech is just, hey, somebody fell out. I need a doctor. I don't need a dissertation on Shakespeare. I'm sorry. I don't need to know like, oh, I did write an article about the effects of gentrification on that. No, they don't want that. That's not what they that's not what they're here for. That's what the world means when they say doctor. So again, I'm not even the cool doctor. I ain't got a Finsta. I'm not a good doctor. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I'm like Dr. Dre. Nah, Dr. Dre cool. So there you go. At least he got that.
At
So
least he
yeah.
has that. It is what it is, man. But that really brings us to our next guest. But before we get there, black and ugly as ever, I stay Houston down to my socks. Oh yes, it's them again. It's the boys from In My Humble Opinion. I'm your host, Avery, like a very nice guy. Big Fat says I got the Jeffrey Damu glasses. Damu, clever. Clever.
Hey, no. Actually, before we even get there, hey, I thought Jeffrey Dahmer was a sophisticated serial killer. So it makes me mad when I find out this was just a mediocre white man just accidentally killing people and then hunting black people. I thought this man was like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
My buddy had a barrel with torsos in a 1-bedroom apartment. Like it wasn't even like I don't even understand. God, his apartment smelled. He was just the smelly kid. It should have been obvious.
It's I mean, when you
My man
watch
got pulled over with a body in his back seat, and his excuse was, "Hey man, I'm just driving drunk." Doug, the cops let him go.
it's so fucking racist. It's so fucking racist.
Hey, one of my coworkers was like, "I don't think it was based on race." I said, "All right, well, he just it was more crimes of opportunity." And I was like, "Yeah, he took the opportunity to kill black people."
Exactly. That person's clearly white. But
And
it is
also, if you have a problem with spoiler alerts, I'm sorry, it's Jeffrey Dahmer. It's like I spoiled Titanic for you. All right, I digress.
yeah.
I stepped all over your intro. Go ahead.
No, you didn't step over it because we're introducing you, my brother, the greatest writer and both sides of the Mississippi on this planet, on the next planet, on all actually, what is it, 9 planets, 10 planets now? I don't know. We're on the third rock from the sun. He's the best writer that I know. It's my brother, Just Devon, ladies and gentlemen. Just Devon.
Oh, thank you. I got to put my screen back up. Yeah, how's it going, people?
Yeah, and you can find him at Dr. Douglas.
Oh yeah, Dr. Douglas on Instagram. Look up Dr. Douglas just Devon. Honestly, go to my Humble O's page and all our stuff is there. And
you
then
can find us both on my
you
home.
can find us there.
We be
Yeah,
changing
yeah.
shit. I got hacked. Who
We should
knows
be
if I
better.
get hacked
I was
again?
about to say you got hacked. All right.
Who knows if I get? That was my burner page though.
There's some dude overseas that's just like, we got him.
Like, my burner page, you can't get the Avery's page. That one, I'm a cyber. This one girl checked my, and actually Erica, she checked my card. She was like, "You got hacked, the cybersecurity guy."
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been waiting for somebody to say it because I just feel like. So remember when old buddy was running that service where he's like, I can protect your identity, and he goes, just to prove it to you, I'm gonna put my social security number up on a billboard and drove it all around the country, and then immediately they took his savings. Like immediately, it was just like, hey, dog, your service don't work. That's not my brother though. See, they took his Finsta account. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about that.
It was my. In the words of Todd, it was my shit account. I just would put shit on there because I got Twitter fingers. That's just me.
You know, want to see all the inappropriate memes that got scanned and didn't make it. That's the account for you.
That was my farming system. I'll be like, oh, okay. This one didn't get taken down. All right, we can put this over here. It is what it is. That's exactly what it was for. Because once they took Carlton Banks, I was like, bruh, it is what it is. So, our next guest, ladies and gentlemen, is a friend of the show, my clubhouse brethren, actually, a man well respected in the city for his work with artists in the city. All right, so if you don't notice, right, the engineer / producer, really mostly the engineer, is really responsible for like everything when it comes to your music. Okay, they make or break your albums. This man can produce, he can rap, he can engineer, he can mix, he can master. He's a whole fucking vibe, and he's a one-man show. All right. His music is for cookouts, the kickbacks, and the family reunions, playing spades, jamming maze, your granny is grooving. Cousins laughing while my aunties is randomly feuding, but I don't like to call them crazy because they're passionate humans. I butchered that, but he can do it way better than I can. I love that. I love that those bars right there. He's a rapper, engineer, producer. For the right price, he can make your shit tighter. A genuine good person and one of the best roasters I've ever met in my entire life. With a cool front streaming in your phone right now, George Young, ladies and gentlemen. George Young.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back, guys. It's always a fun interview, man.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. I also like that whole line about why your aunt. I don't know why. If everybody saw that last episode of Atlanta, I feel like we can all relate to family members just beefing and the aunts beefing, and that was hilarious. Yeah. And like, and you still got to act like a kid when it happens. Like when old buddy was like, "Please don't call the police." Like you just like you become a child. You immediately become a child. What's going on, George? How's it going?
Man, it's going pretty good, man. Just getting the feedback from the project, the cool friend, as he said. Man, chilling on this beautiful Sunday. I don't know if I'm supposed to give the actual day of the week. People think it's live on YouTube, but
right. You know, people see it.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I'm just enjoying it this weekend, man. The weather's beautiful outside. I'm chilling, man. How you guys doing?
It's nice. It's nice. The weather is nice. We're definitely Houstonians because the temperature dropped down to like 80, and we was like, "Woo!"
Yeah, it's
nice
like
little chill front in. I was like, "Oh, it's nice
front.
outside."
Yeah, it was like time to break. This morning.
Time to break out the coat. He's like, "Yeah, nah."
Yeah, man.
So my brother was talking about what your introduction. First of all, a lot of people, especially over this past year, and it's been consistent. But it's like it's going up where it's like you got Derrick Rhodes, you got Rob Gillette, you got Jedi Master, you got like so many artists that talk about and if you go back and you look at episodes of this podcast for the first time ever, or for my 8th or 9th time, I produced it and then I went and I put it in George Young's hands. Like Jedi was adamant where he's like, yo, I like is an uncomfortable feeling, but I did it and it worked. Talk about the importance of the engineer because we see a lot of our guests now that are like, nah, you got to get your stuff to an engineer. And not only that, they're specifically saying you.
Oh man, that's humbling. Man, yeah, the engineering aspect of it is just so important because I mean, at the end of the day, when you take all the technique of the lyricism, when you take all that stuff away, it comes down to how it sounds and how it makes a person feel. So I just think with anything, man, the sound quality can make or break your stuff. It's like if your sound quality isn't good, and people they might not admit it, but they're gonna take you a little less serious than they would if it sounded great, you know. So just the sonics, the experience that people have when they're listening to your music is highly important, man, and I take it very seriously. So, man, I'm fortunate people have given me their work to work with, and been able to like sculpt their sound. So, yeah, man, it's a humbling feeling to hear all these people say that type of stuff.
Now, when you talked about the release, I mean, your latest release, The Cool Front, was this like you were planning on this for the weather? Or you planning on the weather dropping? You're like, this is the kind of weather I want to be in?
Man, I'm gonna be real. I really wanted to drop it in the dead middle of summer, initially, because I wanted to drop it when was extremely hot. But I mean, it still kind of fit the weather. I was able to drop that time a little bit earlier when it was hot. So yeah, that was part of the plan. I was like, well, backup plan. If I can't put it out in July when it's the hottest, then I can get it when it starts to cool down a little bit. So it worked out in the end. It worked out for me.
And then talk about your thoughts going in when you were getting ready. Well, as you were creating this project, because you came off of The Loop, which was stellar. Like everybody was talking, you know, I was like, you're coming off that project and then moving into this one. What were your thoughts going through?
My thought process. So the loop did really well, obviously. I didn't want to have people waiting 6 years like I did the previous two projects. You know, like so that was like the first thing. The second thing was I just kind of noticed the trend. I had a couple shows I had done, and then I noticed the trend of the music that people gravitated towards. It tended to be like the lighter, the funner stuff that I make, you know. And I've
Yeah.
always been one of those artists. I want to make well-rounded projects, so to speak. But with this one, it was like, you know what? Let me just make a more concise, concentrated effort to give people the music that like they gravitated to my projects more. So there was that, and then when I come with the concept of the cool front, it was more so, man, like you just look at the world right now, we get so much of the negative, the bad, the you know, and even the music that's played in the clubs is like a lot of that is kind of focused around like, you know, street shit, like you know what I'm saying, violence, getting money, you know, murder. You know what I'm saying? I'm not knocking that because that's a reality. That is what's going on out here. So I just wanted to drop something that was kind of like quick, cool, like just feel good music, just more like a lot of my stuff has been like 90s inspired, but this one was more 80s inspired, I would say. You know, I've
Yeah.
been listening to a lot of music from that era. I've been, you know, the Confunctions, the Loose Ends, Maze, Ozzy Brother. Like over the past couple of years, that's been a bulk of the music that I listen to in my leisure. So I just wanted something that could embody that and just something that was a nice change of pace, a breath of fresh air, or like just really just like a quick cool front to come through. And before you know it, it's gone. So that's kind of how I got there. And also, you really listen to the themes of the music. It's not me ignoring what's going on in the world, but it's like sometimes you got to put on a cool front to get through your day, to get you know to get through life. So it's a lot of things that kind of went into that thought process.
That's
And,
awesome.
and it is good to see like more. Well, I'm like you. I'm also one of those people where it's like I like all the music, but there was a point, and I do feel like when we were coming up as younger, it's like even the gangster rappers, where you listen to a lot of like old West Coast music, they're still rapping over like 70s, 60s music that
Yeah.
is cookout music. You know what I'm saying? Like G Thang and all that stuff is like these are things that are cookout music and things like that. So it's like it was nice to hear your album and it's like, oh, I'm giving ode to a lot of these 80s classics. Cause you know, I don't want to be at the cookout and hear people talking about getting they op over a Mariah Carey beat. Like, I like the song, I do. I do.
Yeah.
I like the song, I do, but
Yeah.
I was like, dog, I'm trying to eat my burger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of, yeah, and I kind of took that approach. Like, I was just like, I just wanted to make an album, a shorter album that like occupied certain spaces that I felt like my music didn't necessarily occupy. So like, I would see people posting my music when they doing certain stuff, and it's like, I'm glad you're playing my music there, but it's like I need to make a song specifically for when you're doing that, or specifically for that like environment. So I just made a conscientious effort to kind of like fill those spaces. Like my family plays my music on Sundays when we all gather and stuff. And it's like, let me make a song that kind of fills that space. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, it was real fun. Like this was probably the most fun I had putting together a project, and the least stressful. It was still stress because my process is still my process, but man, it was fun. It was really fun.
All right, and for our listening audience, George looks completely different. He's got his background cover. We had some technical difficulties on our part, but it's all fixed. Welcome to the 2023. They hacking my brother again, dog. They got to him again. They got to him again. All right, but
sometimes you need a little bit of help. But speaking of help, how much involvement did friend of the show Charity have in this project as well?
She was really the only person I reached out to. She was decently involved. I wouldn't say it was as heavily concentrated as with the loop, but she for sure she co-produced on No Question. She helped me with some stuff on there. She gave me a couple ideas. I think she produced on it's another. I'm drawing a blank right now, but she was definitely involved as far as like just helping me figure out the way that I went about doing some of the projects. She definitely was the reason I used the Frankie Beverly and Mays sample on the Cool Front. She co-produced that. She brought she definitely brought the Tony sample to me for the Seasonal Love record.
Okay.
Yeah, so actually she was about the same amount of involvement as the last time. And I think about it.
Now,
yeah, shout out to Charity.
Why'd you do 7? I have no problem with the length of the album. I think it's perfect. Why did you decide on doing 7 tracks?
Because I had 6. I was gonna do 6, and then I came up with the Rooftops record like last second. So it was just really like happenstance. Like I was gonna keep it at 6, and it was like, all right, I got one more that I really like. So it was just like, let's just vibe with that one. And just, 7's a lucky number. It wasn't really a conscious decision.
Now, also, like from a producer's aspect, from a producer's standpoint, at this day and age where you got like these services that are constantly like everything gets uploaded, all this stuff, what is the process now of sampling things? Like, I always wonder about that because it's like when you're using these samples, how do you go about it now?
You mean from the technical side or just the business side?
The technical and the business side.
Well, for me, man, I listen to a lot of music, and if I want to sample it, I just sample it. Like it's almost like a good problem to have if there is a such thing. If you ever get checked on it, you know what I'm saying? There are websites now like TrackLib. I do use TrackLib where you can clear samples for like as cheap as $50. You know what I'm saying? And you do the splits on there. So things are changing in that respect where it's becoming a lot more affordable to do. But a lot of this shit is just guerrilla pimping, man. Like it's just, it's just like, hey, I like this sample. Hey, if you gotta sue me later, then so be it. Like whatever. Like I'm just gonna make the music I can make right now.
Yeah, because I saw a producer a while ago that was just like, "Hey, you just gotta take the risk, because
Yeah, it's just
if Al Green's people gonna come and find you, they're gonna come and find you, and if they do find you,
they just gonna come and find you.
Yeah. That's just pretty much how it works.
Turn it into some publicity. Yeah, absolutely.
That's literally all you can do. When now going back now in terms of you're out here in Houston, when you're looking at, and we're seeing a lot more producers I feel like Houston producers are starting to get a lot more shine amongst the city and starting to spread outward. So you've got people like yourself, you got people like Big Cuz, you got people. They're just a lot. Norm,
June the Genius,
there we
man.
go. June the Genius. All these people. Houston has this real focus on sound landscape. Do you see the climate changing for people like the producers, and secondly for engineers as well? Because that's just one of the things I always wanted to know. How are engineers feeling about this whole process too?
Well, I know for me, man, it's kind of hard for me to step at times to step out from one hat to the other. So I don't know if it was my engineer side or my production side speaking, but you definitely see more notoriety for Houston producers. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if that's just now because everything is social media and digital, and it's so much easier to give credit to your producer as opposed to like if you didn't read the credits back then, you wouldn't know who's really producing those records for like Fat Pat and Hawk and like all the other artists. So I definitely do think that like a lot more, and especially with Megan blowing up and just other artists coming in and working with guys and social media, I think it's really cool to see the producers getting that love. And it's so many different sounds in the city. That's what I really love. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's definitely a positive thing. I think the engineering aspect of it will come along, but I think over time, it's kind of like when you see now, like with the Gurus and the Alis with TDE, where it's in the Mike Deans, where you're starting to like understand now, like your engineer is very, very important now. Like building a sound is very important now. You know, a guy can go on the internet and get a tight beat from this guy or that guy, but most of the successful artists that I know have a sound. They have one sound that you know them for. A lot of them have their own producers, and you know what I'm saying. So I think it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a lot of work. We're the unsung heroes. You know what I'm saying? The artist just kind of shows up and raps, and they get all the glory. But you know, you got to have engineers and producers. So I think it's a beautiful thing what we're seeing right now.
No, it's
So,
fantastic.
so with that, you know, to piggyback off that, of course, we covered all your production. These bars, though, on this album, I feel like you've rapped better than you've ever rapped before. Was there a conscious decision of going into this album and going, I get it. I produce, I mix, everybody knows that. But my raps, dude, my raps. What was going on in your brain?
That was absolutely the thought process. I've been kind of told, and it's not that it's a negative thing, but it's kind of like this was like a don't let the smooth taste fool you moment. Like it's just like I get told so much, man. Your music is so good, your music is so smooth, and all that. And that's the goal, right? You know, I want it to be a good musical experience. But with this project, I definitely made a concerted effort to like step my raps up and really like start to solidify myself as not just a good producer, engineer, or artist, but like, nah, this dude might be the best rapper I've heard. Like, and
Yeah.
that was really like no question was the first record that I did for this tape. And that was the sole purpose of that song.
I
That
could
was just kind of like like I let me plant my flag right here, right now. This is what it is. Like y'all might have thought that like that I could only do this or whatever, and I just kind of set out to like break the barrier as far as like maybe the boxes people were starting to put me in. Like, oh, it's smooth music, yeah, but I'm rapping my ass off. So yeah, that was definitely my thought process on this project, man. Like no doubt, because I scaled back some of the production. Some it wasn't as albumy as the loop. Like I wanted people to hear me and feel me on this one. So I'm glad you picked up on that.
Hell yeah. From no question to all of them, like you're flipping your tongue more, you're smooth, yes, but there's more syllables in your bars. And I was like, oh, Georgian. And even yesterday we was on Clubhouse and I was like, DeLorean's the best producer. I thought about it. I go, I've listened to Cool Front the whole time. No disrespect. Nigga, you be rapping your ass off. I was like, he's the best rapper. And DeLorean's like, no, I'm not. And I was like, damn, George in here. I'm just shitting on people. No, bro. Like your raps, like dead
Thank
ass,
you.
like dead ass. You've been doing it, my G. My hat, if I had one, goes off to you.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, man. I mean, you know, the reason that I do all this other stuff is because I was a rapper first. Like my lyrics were the main thing. And just over time, I started to like build the other parts of my game, so to speak. But I was a lyricist from the jump. Like that's what I did the best from the jump. And then I learned how to produce, I learned how to engineer, I learned how to put the music together. And not that I dumbed it down, but it's like it definitely became a point in time to where it's like you kind of get your cadences, your deliveries and stuff. And I just kind of wanted to go back to the basics to kind of show people like, nah, like I'm as good as anybody on the planet when it comes to this part of it. So I'm glad people kind of noticed that.
Oh
No,
yeah.
that's fantastic. Which one did you find like when you look at all the facets of everything you do? Because it doesn't sound like you gravitate necessarily anyone. Like you said, like I'm like I turned up the production. Now it's like okay, I'm gonna turn down the production. I'm gonna turn up the rapping. And then when you wanted the production up, you're like, let me ease down the rapping a little bit, get people to focus on the production. Which one do you enjoy the most, or is there
It
one?
depends. It depends on what day I wake up. Like it's just really. I would probably say if you had to take away one of them, if I could give up the engineering more. Engineering is probably third. That's just because I like producing and rapping. Uh, but it's a battle, man. I rapping on other people's beats. I could do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like I've done it. Maybe if Charity was my producer, I could give up the production. So I say the rapping probably more because it fueled everything else. But I like producing, man. I like creating a musical palette. It's a lot of fun with me. But I say the rapping edges out the production by just a little bit right now.
But even with that, like it's like if you were, because I don't know why I would picture you rapping on somebody's beat, and you're like, I want to change that one thing on the beat.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm just like, man, I like maybe out of 100 beats I listen to of other people's, like it's like one. I like maybe this kind of fits my sound. Like, but I'll test that moving forward. Hopefully, I can knock out an EP with a different producer and like just get a little bit more comfortable with that and like let other people do that side of it. Because I still feel like as an artist and a rapper, I don't feel like I've been able to like really like just focus on that solely for a project. And my formula is my formula. I'm not gonna completely get away from it, but I'm gonna definitely experiment, man, and just that's what this album was about, like giving people like a concentrated effort of me. So now I can kind of like do some different shit and just see how people take to it.
That's
Have you
real.
have you always been like meticulous with the ear for sound, or is it something that just developed over time?
It developed over time. When I first was producing, man, it was just like my mixing was terrible.
Mhm.
Like I didn't, but like as I've gotten older and gotten better at my craft, it's like I always want to add a little bit more. And like I go back, like I said, I've been listening to '80s music, and like I'll go back and listen to like old Dre shit, and just the little bitty things, or even a Tribe Called Quest. Like it's the little stuff you don't even really notice that really makes it a complete picture. You know what I'm saying? So like um as I've gotten more into it and done more research and studied the greats, it's just a skill that I've kind of developed over time.
And people talk about, I mean, we were talking about like the importance of the engineer. I mean, and because you had talked about Mike Dean. And I've been telling people, I was like, if you want to know how important an engineer is, go listen to Max O'Cream's discography. You can be a Max O'Cream fan all day long from beginning to end, but there is a progression that goes up to the point where when he starts working for Mike Dean, it's not that his sound is different, but something is different. Like
Clear.
you can hear everything a lot clearer.
It's an intangible, man. It's just
Yes.
it's you can't even define it sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just something to where it's like, nah, this you're presenting this. It's like you having a cameraman and y'all using you know what I'm saying, whatever, a camera phone. And just over time, it's like, nah, it's like the visual gets clearer, your vision gets clearer, the way you're trying to portray it to people. It's just like, man, it's the senses, man. It just really appeals to the senses when you got a really good clean sound.
Yeah.
So that's definitely important.
Now with the loop, uh, we saw the amount of support that you got from the city. There are certain artists that I'm always like, they are proof that you can start building stuff up. And you know, people are like, oh, you know, it's so hard to market. And I'd be like, no, like George know how to market. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's the thing. So it's like you with the Loop, we saw that marketing campaign. And then with this album, like you used your album release party. Were you shooting a video of your album release party?
Yeah, it was 2-in-1.
So
It was 2-in-1.
talk about the album release party and that video and when we're gonna be able to see everything.
So we shot a video for that time, which of course is a single with my brother M's Up Milo. And man, I just was like for a couple years, people were like, you know, I want to be in a video. Like, you know, you never done a video. Have you thought about doing? Of course, I couldn't do an album release with the Loop because COVID. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So I had to do that digitally. So this just kind of gave me an opportunity to like kind of give back some appreciation to my supporters and just to continue to connect with my people that's fucking with the music. Like it's really at the end of the day, man, it's about the connection of people. That's why I do this. So the video was really cool, man. We shot it like in just south of downtown, I guess between Midtown and the medical center. And about between 40 and 50 people came out. I couldn't have no more than 50 for the venue I had, or else you guys would have gotten an invite too.
No problem, no problem.
You know, because I've been getting heat from a lot of people like, yo, I didn't get an invite. Like, it's people on my project that didn't even get an invite. So it's like, you know,
it's cool. It's all love.
So it's like, you know, one day I'll eventually like do the share. I probably should have did the share space thing, but you know, that's neither here nor there. But I'm hoping for it to be dropped in 3 weeks. Of course, working with videographers, I can't say for sure because I'm not the one editing it. But within the next 3 weeks, and I'm actually planning to shoot a video for another song within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm gonna do a video run, man. I'm actually gonna go back retroactively and shoot something off the Loop as well that I didn't get to put out because honestly, I'm still in pushing the Loop mode as well. This was just something to feed people, just to give my supporters something new because it's like, you know, I've been leaving people. It's been a long time. We shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to. Like, I definitely am working to like make sure we don't do that again. So, but it was a really good turnout, man. I appreciate everybody that was able to make it. Apologies to everybody I didn't send an invite to. It's nothing personal. We will party together. Make sure y'all bring y'all ass when it's time.
Oh, we sure will. We sure will. And rappers and producers and everybody who makes projects, you hear what George is doing? He already put out a project and is pushing the new one, and he's going back retroactively and filming videos. You gotta do that. He's look at him. He's like, hey, it just makes sense. I'm like, you gotta do that. It makes the most sense, dude. But you know, you brought up M's Up Milo. You know, he's like your rhyme brother. To me, y'all Snoop and Dre. When we getting that Snoop and Dre album, bro, we know something's got to come.
Man, you know what? We never talked about. Of course, he dropped "Motivated by Good Weed" Part 1. There will be a Part 2 to that. That's more so his brainchild, and I want to give Milo his credit and his flowers. The Cool Front, I'm not sure I could have done the Cool Front the way I did it had I not met him and had I not met EDF. Both of those brothers have had a great influence on my music, the type of bounce, the player shit, like the sound that they tapped into. Because me and Milo are kind of like into the same music and the same influences. But I don't know, man. I would love to do a project one day with Milo. You know, it's just got to make sense. You know, he's been working on this, and then the Smush Brothers stuff. So I think volume 2 of Motivated by Good Weed should be out this fall at some point. We're about to start working on that. And we actually have another song. I can't give too much information, but we have another song over a classic sample that's not the same vibe as that, but it's a really great song. And it's like a live concert type of vibe to it. So hopefully that'll be out soon. But man, one day we'll put that together, man. I really would like to produce a whole project for him, even if I'm not completely rapping all over it. But you know, you might have put something out there for us to do though. But that's definitely my brother, man, and he's really helped me. A lot of the things I've been able to do and execute, I wouldn't have even thought of doing without his help. So big shout out to Milo, man. Just a really solid individual and like make great music.
Absolutely. You've talked about like if in terms of production and working with somebody, like we know you work with Charity. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's somebody you would actually trust in terms of music. When it comes down to like other artists in the city and you get to work with a lot, who are some of the ones you just really enjoy working with and who are some of the ones that you want to work with, whether it be rapping or production?
Man, that's a great question. First of all, B Honey is on every project I ever put out.
Yes,
So
yes.
my girl, big shout out to my girl B Honey. Um, man, EDF is typically on my projects. He's been a big part of what I do. Um, man, I enjoy working with Devontae Hunter. You know what I'm saying? My boy Envy. He don't go by that. He's dark skinned Devontae now. As far as artists that I would like to work with, man, that's a great question. Um, I don't know, man. I like to get in the studio with B King, bro. Like I like I want to work with somebody that is kind of a little bit outside of what I normally do. That will pull me out of my element. I love to work with Wolf DeMichaels. Uh,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying? Wolf, I actually ran into him not too long ago. And me and bro always had these talks and stuff, and he's very supportive. I would love to get a record done with him. I want to work production wise. I'd love to do something with Jedi. Like I would like to do something with Jedi.
Yeah.
I would like to do something with my dude Tony Dark as well. We haven't. I've worked with him, but not for something on my project. We've discussed us doing an EP where he's the producer, I'm the artist. Um, Man, I love to do a record with Mickey Woods. Like Mickey Woods is like
Oh
like
yeah. Yeah.
he's one of them dudes, man. Like just I don't even know how to describe what his sound is, but very talented dude, man. I love to work with a lot of different artists, man. The city's so full of talent, you know. But just off the top of my head, those are some of the people that I love to work with. And Devin the Dude, I want to record with Devin the Dude and Erica Badu. Before it's all said and done, I want to put those two on the record together. Like I can't believe it's never been done yet.
That
But
makes the
yeah,
most sense. I've never thought about that in
I've
my
never
entire life.
yeah.
And that makes so much sense, dude. With your beats, yeah.
I feel like it's so doable. And Devin the Dude is just one of those people where it's like,
Houston and Dallas.
no, it's not that. It's like he gets his props and yet he still doesn't get enough. Like
yeah, not for sure.
you cannot sing his praises enough, like at all.
Yeah.
I just saw him in concert, the last stop on the show here in Houston. It was at Last Concert Cafe, and it's like, dude is incredible. Like that
Nah,
there's
he
just
is,
no getting
man. He's
around it. Yeah.
definitely as I've gotten older, he's become one of my biggest influences. I was always aware, but I think about the past 5 to 7 years, like really just studying him, listening to him, the way he can flip a regular everyday scenario and make it entertaining. And like I just love everything about his music. So I actually wrote Quiet Storm, the hook. The hook I wanted Devin to do it on that hook. I was in my Devin the Dude, like, how would Devin the Dude sing on this record? So
yeah.
Oh,
It is just cadences and whatnot. But the fact that Devin the Dude can make a song called Boo Booing and talking shit about everybody, be like, you know what, you do what
yeah.
you do. I'm in the bathroom, boo boo. I was like, that's creative.
It's not only that, this man makes, because you go back and you listen to them albums, and it's like, this man has been making like genuinely uplifting, like the kids would call it now mental health appropriate music. I'm like, dog, this man has been making this forever.
Now about 24 years.
24
like
years of him being like,
and then
like,
stuff before that
like literally,
brothers.
hey man, take care of yourself. Worry
do
about
what you want to do.
Do what
Anything
you want
is
to do,
pretty, man.
Don't bother nobody else. And you're like,
Yeah.
Devin the Dude been doing this for almost 3 decades.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah. So that's incredible work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what else? We got a string of videos that are coming out from you. What's the other things that we have on the horizon?
Me and a group of people are working on a show right now. A nice size show. I can't give all the details out, but we've been working on like the preliminary promo work. So y'all can look out for that soon. I love to put another project out around like March, April. My birthday's in March. I'm really just kind of I'm at a spot creatively where I'm just trying to figure out creatively where I want to go next. Like,
Hmm.
what's my next challenge I have for myself? Because every time I go to work on a new project, it's something new that I want to mark off that maybe I haven't done, whether it be a certain type of song or certain type of sound, or maybe I didn't do this enough on this project. So I'm still in that period afterwards. I do got a couple songs I'm dropping soon. But as far as creatively, I just right now just videos, man, and working on this Milo project. Um, I'd love to do a EP with somebody. Like I said, me and Tony have talked about it. A couple of other producers I've talked to. I would love to do uh, a full compilation where I produce, like kind of like a chronic. You know what I'm saying, with Houston artists.
Hmm.
It's something I've been in the talks with a couple guys about. Um, right now, me and Jedi are kind of collaborating with Rob Galat on the Rob Galat project.
Mm.
So I don't want to get the details before he does, but it's gonna be really dope. So it's a couple things that we're working on. Definitely got more merch coming. The black ice shirts did phenomenal. I'm gonna bring those back out. But like right now, I'm just focused on the videos, man, because I'm like, the type of music I make, it needs visuals. So if I could give you a number, I would love to have like 3 to 5 videos out over the next 8 months.
Hmm.
So we'll see how that goes. And I got these grand big ideas, and I just need somebody that can help me scale them down but still be effective. So that's just kind of where I am creatively right now, and just changing some things up. Just figuring out what's my next creative challenge, I guess.
Now, I think the last time we had talked about, you had spoke about like the amount of time that you put into the loop, and you're like, while it's still a labor of love, I'm still working on the business end and just getting things up and getting things going. So in the background, especially for artists that are looking at this, that are also having the same problem, because something has definitely changed where it's like you said, like the cool front came, you're like, I'm not gonna make y'all wait. I'm gonna come out with stuff. For you, what changed where you're like, all right, I found this balance where I'm like, I can be creative, but I can also get the work out and and that way I can get this business stuff going.
Just looking around the landscape of what's been going on in rap music, really for the past couple years. Um, just the shorter projects. Just watching guys like Currency and Larry June, and guys like Ellie Dollar. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Celeste, like just seeing how you can put out shorter projects, man. Like it doesn't have to be like an 18 song album. Like really, that's just really been the biggest difference I can say for me personally. And just like not sometimes it's always been this battle of perception versus what I want my perception to be. And I just stop fighting whatever the idea of me is as an artist and just kind of go with the wave, so to speak. Like, okay, this is what people want from me. This is what people like from me. Just give it to them. Like it's just as simple as that. And just trying to simplify my process more than anything. Just trying to find a way to simplify it and just be great at these few things, getting back to my fundamentals more than anything else. I think a lot of times artists just overly complicated. And sometimes you'll see an artist that maybe isn't as technically skilled, you know what I'm saying? And they just got this, fuck it, I'm gonna just put this music out, you know what I'm saying? So I would tell artists don't overly complicate it, man. Like just give the people what they want. Just give it what I want. I'm not saying you gotta rush out a bunch of music every year, but how hard is it to put out 14 tracks a year or whatever and split it into 2 projects? So I've just been kind of looking at it from that angle a little bit more now than anything. Just kind of like making it a lot more concise, short and sweet.
And I like that because we've seen a lot more artists, particularly the artists that we like, where we see like we see Rob Gillette, we see Todd, we see people that are like, yo, I'm gonna put this music out. And of course, shouts out to Ellie Dollar Sign, who has literally been like, yo, his company is did it ourselves, Dios. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just keep on putting this music out. And eventually it's like you build this foundation where it's like, you know, one of my favorite rappers is Currency. And when people be like, what's your favorite song? There are songs I can name, but I was like, dog, it's not gonna help you. Like, just go to Spotify and press Currency. You'll find something. Like,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
so much music out there for you to listen to of his.
Yeah, and it's almost like with some of these artists that the brand is bigger than the music that they put out.
Mm.
And that's not to say that the music isn't quality, isn't good, isn't phenomenal, but that's just kind of like the new business model. It's like, yo, people connect with the underground artists. The biggest power that you have is that people genuinely are fucking with you and not fucking with you because it's the cool thing to do, and not just fucking with you because you're all over the radio and you're the hot thing in the game. Like, so you got to take advantage of the fact that it's people that's connecting with you as the person too. And like I just kind of started to understand, like, nah, these people really they fuck with George, man. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They fuck with
Yeah.
George beyond the music. So it's just like, man, just understanding what you individually bring to the game and actually reading the room, reading what it is people like about your stuff and figuring out how to capitalize off of that. And it's like, yeah, man, do we all want to like be big artists, so to speak? Yeah, but I'm be honest with you, like fame is not a motivating factor for me when I create music. I wouldn't even say the money is, but it's like, hey, if we're in it and we want to do this, let's just try to build a structure that's sustainable, and it doesn't take you to do a classic 5 mic album every time for it to be sustainable. It doesn't take you to have this smash hit every time you drop to be sustainable. It just takes quality and content and product that people can go out and support. And it's like, I fought that for so long. I fought, and I don't even know why. It was a point in time where I was just so stuck in this old way, and this is my perception, and this is what, like, and it's like, no, man, just do what makes sense. It's right in front of you. So, man, I salute all those artists because they've kind of given a pathway to us if you're smart enough to follow it, where it's like, yo, if you got 200 to 500 people that like are actually spend money on your shit, like you can do some things. Like the Cool Front was 24 on the iTunes charts the day it dropped.
Yes.
You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? I didn't do pre-orders. That wasn't pre-order. And that's a whole nother conversation. Like you can use the pre-orders to your advantage. So it's just like my eyes are really kind of opening up now where I'm really starting to get that side of it. Where before I was just an artist making music and like here, you know what I'm saying? Here, nigga, down. But now it's just like, okay, I'm starting to realize and recognize the trends and what people really like. You just gotta find creative ways. And we're still uncovering that as far as what I'm doing. So yeah, man, it's just keeping it simple, man. Just keep it simple.
And then what was that like to look up at the iTunes charts and see that you were charting? Like you're like,
Surreal.
yeah.
Unreal. Unreal. Because I'll be honest with y'all, man, with this project, it's a level of care I put in all my projects. But this one was a little bit, it's like I wasn't as like hard on the details. I wasn't as much in my head about everything. This was more of my minimalistic, carefree George Young music. And so I didn't really even go into this. Like, when the loop dropped, we did 10,000 on Apple Music the first week. Like that was crazy. You know what I'm saying? This one, it was just more so like, hey man, y'all go buy the project. Directing people. You know what I'm saying? Go buy the project. And it's not that I just have this crazy amount of people, but it's just like you just got to know how to funnel them to whatever it is your main goal is with this. So if you can figure out a way to funnel your people and direct them, give them direction, give them something simple they can follow, and where it's not that many steps. Hey, just go to your iTunes, press purchase, and it's as simple as that, man. If you can find a way to herd your fan base to one particular thing, that's when you can really start to unlock a lot of these things as far as being able to sell merch and things like that. So I'm just trying to get to the point to where my process is not complicated. It's very simple, easy for them to follow, and we connected.
And audience, don't let George fool y'all. George has a stronghold on Houston Twitter and prominent in Houston. And Houston Twitter has a stronghold on Black Twitter and Black Twitter has a stronghold on Twitter.
On Twitter, yeah.
Just in general. Like, if it ain't happening on Black Twitter, it ain't happening. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing. And so that's the thing. Like we said, we discovered the Loop because I was like, I called him up. I was like, Dad, I've seen like 40 people repost this album, The Loop. Have you listened to The Loop? He was like, yeah, man, that's George. I was like,
You're from Aubrey.
Okay.
Aubrey kept talking about you. He was like, hey,
yeah,
you got to get George. And we have so many people at that time. I was like, yeah, okay. And then when I saw, like you know, I got to be honest. And then I'm looking at my
no, really,
The Loop. I was like, yeah,
Loop, and then I reposted it too because Aubrey Aubrey loves you. So Aubrey was like,
oh yeah, that's my boy. That's hey, that like you know, you ever it's like when Andre 3000 said in Elevators where he met the guy in the mall. It was like they went to school together. He didn't know what to do. Was talking about that's not Aubrey. Like me and Aubrey were friends in high school. Like that's my guy. So shout out to Aubrey, man, and I appreciate it, man, for sure.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. I also like the point, like we were talking about, like we were saying Larry June and we are saying Les and some of these artists. I like what you're talking about putting together a live show because I'll be honest with you, and I told my brother this. I understand Larry June until we saw him in concert.
Ooh.
Like when I saw him in concert, I was like, oh, I get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Then next thing I know, I'm listening to Larry June all the time. Like sometimes that's what it takes, like seeing that live performance, and then you're like, oh, okay, now I get this. You know what I'm saying? So I know you can't talk all about what the live performance is, but can y'all give people like a estimate, a possibility, or anything?
Next 2 to 3 months.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Next 2 months, and there'll be multiple artists on the bill. You know, so hopefully we just started doing the early promo work, the photos and stuff like that. So you know, but you guys will be among the first to know once we start doing that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Man, so George, where can people find you on the great land of social media?
You can find me TheGeorgeYoung. That's for Twitter and for Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook, George Young. You know, you'll see the icon on there, but I'm not on Facebook as much. But yeah, Instagram and Twitter, man. And I'm on Clubhouse a little bit, but I don't want y'all to find me there. That's my leisure time. That's my leisure place. You know, that's me chilling with my people. But yeah, I'm on both of those. Man, the Cool Front is streaming everywhere, and the Loop is still streaming everywhere. Make sure you go out and purchase both of them.
No TikToks?
I have a TikTok. I'm trying to get better with that. I have a TikTok. I think, don't make me lie. I think it's like George the Young or something weird like that. But if you find me on the other social sites, I'll link my TikTok to that. But right now it's just a couple promo videos. I'm still trying to figure out how to work in that space as an artist. Maybe more studio footage and stuff like that. But we'll get there.
TikTok is the wave. Devon's stay on my ass about getting on TikTok. It's the wave. But thank you for staying in and coming out at the same time, whereas we do this on Zoom. I mean, once again, this has been In My Humble Opinion podcast. I'm your host, Avery, like a very nice guy, and I've been here with my brother, Jess Devon, and our guest, George Young, ladies and gentlemen. Humbly yours. H-Town is too sweet. H-Town is too sweet. Goodbye. Put the ding in post. Ding.
We've never done that.
I know we've never done it, but still.
We need production. Elliot. No.